Good morning. We're back with Junie B. And today, this one is called Junie B. Jones is Not a Crook. Sounds like something bad's going to happen here. She's going to get herself into a real pickle of something. It says, my name is Junie B. Jones. The B stands for Beatrice, except I don't like Beatrice. I just like B, and that's all. Here is a story for you. It is called Once Upon a Time, my grandfather named Frank Miller went to the store and he bought me some mittens. Once upon a time, my grandfather named Frank Miller went to the store and he bought me some mittens. They are made out of black furry fur. And guess what? It was not even my birthday or Christmas or Valentine's Day. Plus, the mittens were not even on sale. Grandpa Miller just bought them for no good reason, and that is the bestest reason I ever heard of. That's how come I love that guy very much. Plus, also, he can skip the end. I like that story a real lot because guess why? I didn't even make it up. That's why. That adventure actually happened to me. My Grandpa Miller really did buy me mittens for no good reason. And they are gorgeous, I tell you. When I first opened them, I got filled with glee. Glee is when you run and jump and skip and laugh and clamp and dance on top of the dining room table. And then your mother takes you down from the table and she carries you to your room for a timeout. Timeouts kill the glee. I wore my new mittens the whole entire morning, plus also I wore them to afternoon kindergarten. I wore them with my attractive winter jacket, only it wasn't actually cold out, only who even cares, because that outfit looked very beautiful together. I showed my mittens to my bestest friend named Grace. Also, I showed them to a variety of strangers. After I got to school, I held my hands over my head and I runned all over the playground. Look, everybody, look at my new mittens. My Grandpa Frank Miller bought them for no good reason. I waved them all around in the air. How many children see these lovely things? Raise your hands. Nobody raised their hands. How many children think these mittens are gorgeous? Please come forward. Nobody came forward. I put my hands back down and I walked to that Grace. I couldn't create any interest, I said, very glum. Only guess what? Just then I spotted my other bestest friend named Lucille. I ran my fastest to greet her. Lucille, Lucille, look at my gorgeous new mittens. See them? They are made out of black furry fur. Lucille petted them. My family has lots of fur, she said. My mother has a fur cape, and my aunt has a fur jacket, and my uncle has a fur hat. Plus, my Nana just bought a brand new mink coat, only she can't wear it outside the house, or else people will throw paint on her. My mouth came all the way open. Why, Lucille? Why will people throw paint on your Nana? Lucille crossed her arms. Don't you know anything, Junie B. Jones? It's because people who love furry animals don't like them being made into coats for Nanas. Whew. Just then I felt relief in me, because I'm not even a Nana, that's why. And besides, my mittens aren't even made out of real furry animals. They're made out of fake furry animals, and those kinds don't even count. All of a sudden, the bell rang for school, and I zoomed to my room like a speeding rocket, because guess why? More people to show my mittens to, that's why. I showed my mittens to my teacher. Her name is Mrs. She has another name too, but I just like Mrs., and that's all. Feel them, Mrs. Feel how soft they are. I rubbed them on her face. Ooh, they are soft, Junie B. Be sure and put them in your jacket pocket so they won't get lost, okay? I skipped, very happy, to my seat. Yeah, only I'm not even going to lose them, I said to just myself. I'm going to wear them right on my hands the whole livelong day. Because I love these guys, that's why. I took off my attractive winter jacket and sat down at my table, and then I tapped on Lucille with my furry mittens. Hello, how are you today? I have fur hands. See them, Lucille? See my hands of fur? I flew them in the air. This is what fur hands look like when they're flying in the air. I waved hello. This is what fur hands look like when they're waving hello. Lucille did a frown. You're being annoying, she said. And that's how come I turned around and I smiled at a boy named William. I have fur hands, William. See them? See my fur hands? I tapped on his head. This is what fur hands look like when they're tapping on your head. And just then I got up from my chair and I skipped to my boyfriend named Ricardo. I tickled him under the chin with my softy hands of fur. This is what fur hands look like when they're tickling you under the chin. Then I grinned and grinned because that boy brings out the best in me, that's why. Pretty soon Mrs. saw me out of my seat. She held my hand and marched me back to the table. This is how fur hands look when they're marching to my table, I said. Mrs. plopped me in my chair. Then she pulled off my fur hands and she put them on her desk. I did a sad sigh. That is how fur hands look when they're no longer in my possession, I whispered. After that, I put my head on my desk and I covered up with my arms, and I didn't come out for a real long time. Mrs. said I could have my mittens back at recess, and I stared and stared at the clock. And then I tapped my fingers on the table, and then I did loud breaths. Lucille tattletaled on me. Junie B keeps tapping her fingers and making loud breaths, and I can't even concentrate on my work, she grouched. Mrs. came to my table. Hello, how are you today? I'm fine, except I don't actually have my mittens. She tapped her foot real fast. That was not a good sign, I think. Only guess what? Just then the bell rang for recess. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, because now I can have my mittens back, right, Mrs. Wright? I zoomed to her desk and put them on my hands, and then I rubbed those softy things all over my cheeks. It's good to be with you again, I whispered into their fur. After that, I put on my attractive winter jacket, and I skipped outside with my friends. Me and Tattletale Lucille and that Grace played horses together at recess. I am Brownie, Lucille is Blackie, and that Grace is Yellowy. I'm Yellowy, shouted Grace. I'm Blackie, shouted Lucille. I'm Brownie, I shouted. Only then I looked at my mittens and I did a frown. Because there was a little bit of problem here, I think. Yeah, only how can I even be Brownie? Because my horse paws are black, and so I am two different colors, apparently. Lucille and that Grace did frowns, too. Said Grace. Said Lucille. I said. And just then, that Grace clapped her hands together, very excited. I knew, Junie B. Today, you and Lucille can trade. Today, Lucille can be Brownie, and you can be Blackie, and so that way your horse paws will be the right color. Me and Lucille looked and looked at that girl, 'cause what kind of crazy idea was that? I did a huffy breath. Yeah, only how can I even be Blackie when I'm already Brownie, Grace? I've been Brownie for my whole entire career. You can't just go changing, you know. Yeah, Grace, you just can't go changing, said Lucille. That Grace looked embarrassed at herself. Oh, yeah, what was I thinking, she said. And after that, all of us sat down on the grass and we tapped on our chins. We thinked and thinked and thinked. And then all of a sudden, my whole face lighted up. Hey, I thought of it. I know exactly what to do. And I jumped up. Start again, Grace. Say your name again. Say that you are Yellowy. Grace looked curious at me. I'm Yellowy, she said. I pointed to Lucille. I'm Blackie, she said next. I spinned around. I'm Brownie, I shouted. Only guess what? Yesterday, my grandpa Brownie bought me black furry mittens, and so that's how come I am in two different colors, apparently. And after that, all of us did high fives, and we started playing horses. We galloped and trotted and snorted and snuffled, only too bad for me, because the sun kept on beating down on my horse head, and I got drippity inside my attractive winter jacket. I'm going to die from heat perspiration, I said. That's how come I trotted over to the tree and I took off all my stuff. First, I took off my attractive winter jacket, and then I took off my furry black mittens, and I piled them in a careful pile. After that, I galloped away to find my horse friends, and we played, and pretty soon, Mrs. blew her loud whistle. That means the end of recess. Coming, yelled Yellowy. Coming, shouted Blackie. Coming, I shouted, and then I hurried up back to the tree to get my stuff. Only guess what? I saw something very terrible there, that's what. And it's called, hey, somebody stole my mittens. I run all around the tree. 911, 911, I hollered. Somebody stole them. Somebody stole my mittens. Mrs. came very quick. They stole them. They stole my mittens. 911. Mrs. bended down next to me. Who, Junie B? Who stole them? A stealer, that's who. A stealer stole them. And so what kind of school is this? Because I didn't even know there were crooks at this place. Mrs. said, calm down my voice. Yeah, only I can't even calm it down that good because I'm heartsick, that's why. Heartsick is the grown-up word for when your heart is sick. I looked at the ground real sad. Now all I have left is my dumb, attractive jacket. Mrs. picked it up, and then she holded my hand, and me and her started to walk. You and I are going to the office. I quick tried to get my hand away from her. No, Mrs., I'm not allowed to go there. Mother said if I got sent to the office one more time, I will get grounded, young lady. Tears came into my eyes. Grounded, young lady, is when I have to stay on my own ground. Plus, also, I can go to the rug. Mrs. smiled. I'm not taking you to the principal's office to punish you, Junie B. I'm taking you to find your mittens. I did a gasp. Principal? Principal stole my mittens? Mrs. laughed real loud. No, Junie B., he didn't steal your mittens. The office is where the lost and found is located. After that, she took my hand again, and we hurried up to the office. There's a grouchy typing lady in that place. I'm not fond of her. Junie B. needs to look through the lost and found. Please send her back to class when she's finished. Then Mrs. went back to room 9 and left me all there by myself. The typing lady looked over the counter at me, and I did a gulp. Yeah, only I'm not even bad today, I explained, very nervous. Somebody stole my mittens, and that is the end of my tale. The typing lady kept on looking at me. She didn't say any words. Sweat came on my head. Whew, it's warmish in here, isn't it? I said. Just then I heard a door. It was Principal. He was coming out of his office. I jumped up and down at his sight because I know that guy real good. Principal, look, it's me. It's Junie B. Jones. My mittens got stolen on the playground, and so Mrs. brought me here to get them. So just hand them over, and I will be on my way. No questions asked. Principal looked funny at me, and then he went to the closet, and he pulled out a big box. This is the lost and found, Junie B. Anytime that someone finds something that's been lost, they bring it in here, and we put it in this box. How come? How come they bring it here instead of taking it home? Because one time I found a nickel in the street, and Daddy said I could put it in my bank. Because finding isn't the same thing as stealing, right, Principal? Finding is a lucky duck. Principal laughed a little bit. Well, finding a nickel in the street is different, Junie B. For one thing, it would be almost impossible to discover who the owner of the nickel really was. And for another thing, losing a nickel isn't really a big deal. But when someone loses something personal, like mittens, for instance, well, that's a very big deal. And so if someone else finds the mittens, they can bring them to the lost and found, and the owner can get them back. And that makes everyone happy, Junie B. The owner is happy because she has her mittens back, and the person who found them is happy because she's done a good deed. He pointed to a piece of paper taped on the box. See this poem? This is a poem the 3rd grade wrote about lost and found, and it says, if you find stuff, bring it in. All day long, you'll wear a grin. I did a frown. Yeah, only here's the problem. I didn't lose my mittens. They got stolen on purpose. And so no one will bring them in and wear a grin, probably. Principal raised up his eyebrows. Well, you never know, Junie B. Why don't you look in there and see? And he opened up the box for me, and that's when my eyes got big and wide, because it was filled with the most wonderfulest things I ever saw. There were sweaters and sweatshirts and baseball caps and gloves and balls and a lunchbox and a scarf and sunglasses and a watch with Mickey Mouse on it. Also, there was a backpack that looked like a teddy bear. Ooh, I always wanted one of these, I hollered real loud, and I put it on my back and skipped around the office. I said, look back there. Principal runned after me. He took the teddy off my back and put it back in the box. We're looking for your mittens, remember? Just then I felt upset again because I almost forgot about those furry guys. That's why. Oh, yeah, my mittens, I said, real glum. I looked through the box some more. They're not here, I said. My mittens are gone forever and ever, I think. I did a sad sigh. Then I picked up the teddy backpack again. Maybe I will take this instead, because this teddy backpack will ease my pain, I believe. Principal said no. How come? Because the owner doesn't even want it anymore, I bet. Her mother already bought her a new teddy backpack, probably, and so this one is just going to waste. Principal stood me up and turned me to the door. That meant I'm leaving, I think. Come back tomorrow and look for your mittens again. I talked real fast. Yeah, only I just remembered something. I used to have a teddy backpack just like that one, maybe. Only then I lost it, probably, and so I better take that one home with me, or else my mother might be bad. Principal walked me to the door. He faced me down the hall. Goodbye, Junie B. I hanged my head, very disappointed. Because guess why? Goodbye means no teddy backpack. Room 9 is way far from Principal's office. I had to stop at the water fountain, or else I might not make it. I pressed the water button with my thumb, and then I puckered up my lips and I sucked water in. I didn't even put my mouth on the spout, because there's lip dirt on that thing, of course. I sloshed the water all around in my cheeks, and then I bended my head way back and I did some gargles. I can gargle very perfect, except I can't keep the water in my actual mouth. It runned out the sides and dribbled on the floor. That's when I saw something very wonderful down there. Hey, it's one of those pens that writes 4 different colors. I quick picked it up and pushed the little red button on the top. A red pen popped out the bottom. I scribbled red scribble all over my hand. Wowie, wow, wow, I love this thing. After that, I pushed the green button and scribbled green scribble. And I pushed the blue button and I scribbled blue scribble. Plus also I pushed the black button and scribbled black scribble. This pen makes scribbling a pleasure. I put it in my pocket and started skipping to room 9. Only too bad for me, because all of a sudden I remembered the lost and found. I stopped. Oh no, I wished I didn't even remember about that, I said, because now I have to take my pen to the lost and found, or else I won't wear a grin. I did a frown. Because something didn't make sense here, that's why. Yeah, only I was already wearing a grin, I said. I wear a grin as soon as I saw this wonderful thing, and so taking it to the office will only make me sad. I tapped on my chin. Maybe Principal is a little mixed up about this. I'm pretty sure I will be happier if I keep it. And here's another thing I'm thinking. I am thinking whoever owned this pen didn't even take good care of it, so I will give it to a good home. And so what can be a gooder deed than that? I took it out of my pocket and I looked at it. Plus, this even makes sense, because first I got my mittens stolen, and then I couldn't have the teddy backpack, and so keeping this pen is fair and square. All of a sudden, my whole face got lighted up because I just thought of another poem, that's why, and it's called Finders Keepers, Losers Weepers. Finders Keepers, Losers Weepers, I said, real thrilled. Then I jumped up and down very happy because everybody says that. And so Finders Keepers is really the rule, I bet. And after that, I put my pen back in my pocket and I skipped all the way to the rest of room 9. I kept my pen in my pocket the whole rest of the day. I didn't want people to see it, or else they might tattletale to Mrs., and she would make me take it to the lost and found. I behaved myself very good because I didn't want to attract attention, that's why. I kept my hand in my pocket so my pen would not fall out, and I kept thinking about my mittens because I still missed those furry guys. I put my head down on my table. Maybe my Grandpa Miller might buy me some more furry mittens, because that would be a perfect solution, I think. I raised up my head. Yeah, that would be a wonderful, I would have wonderful new mittens, plus a wonderful new pen, and so what more can a girl ask for? That's what I'd like to know. I sat up in my chair and tapped on Lucille. Guess what, Lucille? Maybe my Grandpa Frank Miller might buy me some new mittens, and then all my troubles will be over. Lucille said whoop-de-doo for me. I know it is whoop-de-doo, I said, and so thank you for your support. After school, me and my bestest friend named Grace rode the bus together. I rummed home from my corner like a speedy bullet. My Grandpa Frank Miller was babysitting my brother named Ollie. Grandpa Frank Miller, Grandpa Frank Miller, we got to go to the mitten store. We got to go to the mitten store. Grandpa Frank Miller was in the living room rocking Ollie. He looked funny at me. Go where? To the mitten store, to the mitten store. We got to go to the mitten store. I pulled on his hand. Get up, let's get a wiggle on. Grandpa Miller looked confused at me, and that's how come I had to sit down, and I told him what happened at school. Someone stole my mittens. They stole them while I was being Brownie, and I didn't even know there were crooks at that place. Grandpa Frank Miller shook his head, very sad. I guess you can find crooks almost anywhere, honey. I know it. That's how come I'm never going to see those furry guys again, and so you and me have to go to the mitten store. I felt in his back pocket, and then I danced around real thrilled. Hooray, hooray for your big fat wallet, because you got cash in there, right, Grandpa, right? Grandpa Frank Miller laughed. Yes, I do. I've got cash all right, but I'm afraid we won't be able to buy you more mittens. The mittens I bought you were the only furry ones they had left. I bought the very last pair. Just then all the happy went right out of me, because I didn't actually count on that terrible development. Yeah, only we have to, Grandpa. We have to buy more furry mittens, or else what will I even do? Grandpa Miller ruffled my hair. Did you look in the school lost and found? I did a sad breath. Yeah, only that dumb thing doesn't work that good, because people don't always turn stuff in. I patted my new pen in my pocket. Trust me on this, I said real soft. Well, your mittens could still turn up. Folks will surprise you sometime. And then he told me a story about his wallet. A few years ago, I lost my wallet at the mall. I was sure I would never see it again. I bobbed my head up and down. I know it. That's because finders keepers, losers weepers. That's the rule, right, Grandpa? Grandpa Miller smiled. Well, it might be the rule for some people, he said. But luckily, it's not the rule for everyone, because the very next day when I went out to get my mail, there it was. My wallet was sitting right smack in the middle of the mailbox, and not one single penny was missing. His eyes looked happy and sparkling. Can you imagine that, little girl? Someone had the chance to take everything in my wallet, but instead they drove all the way to my house, and they put it in my mailbox. Just then he reached in his back pocket and pulled out his wallet. Look what I would have lost if they hadn't returned it. He took a picture out of his wallet and he handed it to me. It's you and a baby, I said. That's just not any baby, he said. That's you, Junie B. That's a picture of the very first time I ever held you. He took the picture back and stared at it. Nicest thing a stranger ever did for me, bringing this picture back, he whispered. Then he leaned over again and he kissed me on my head. After I talked to my grandpa, I went to my room. I closed my door real secret, and then I took out my wonderful pen out of my pocket and I did a big sigh. Because I had confusion in me, that's why. I wish I'd never even heard that wallet story. Because finders, keepers, losers, weepers isn't the rule, apparently. And so now maybe I'm just a crook. I looked at my wonderful pen. Yeah, only I don't even feel like a crook. I feel like a lucky duck. But I still have to take this thing to the lost and found, probably. And then it will go to waste, just like the teddy backpack. All of a sudden, I heard Mother and Daddy come home from work, and I quick hided my pen under my mattress, because those two would not be understanding of the situation. They came into my room and kissed me hello. I told them what happened to my mittens. Then I begged them for them to take me to the store, but Mother said there's no more left. And Daddy said there's no more left, and so there was no more left, apparently. So that's how come I got depressed all over again, and I couldn't even sleep good that night. Kept on wondering about who was the mitten crook and what did he look like. Because I've seen crooks on TV, and they are biggish and meanish with tattoos on themselves. Just then, I sat up in my bed because a good idea popped into it. Hey, a tattoo is easy to spot, I bet, and so maybe I can find the crook on the playground tomorrow. After that, I went right straight to sleep because I would need my strength for crook looking. The next day at recess, I didn't play horses with Lucille and Grace. Instead, I run all around the playground looking for the mitten crook. Only too bad for me. because most of the children had their jackets on, and so I couldn't even see the crooks with tattoos. Pretty soon the bell rang, and that's when my eyes got tears in them because I would never see my mittens again. Not ever, ever, ever. I started walking to room 9, and my nose was sniffling and drippity. I wiped it on my attractive jacket sleeve. Then all of a sudden, a pink fluffy girl skipped past me. She had on a pink fluffy dress with a pink fluffy socks and shoes and a pink fluffy jacket made of pink fluffy fur. And guess what else? She had black furry mittens in her pink fluffy pockets. My eyes got big and wide. "Hey, my mittens, I screamed. Then I put my head down and I zoomed at her like a speeding bull. Mrs. saw me running and she grabbed me by my attractive winter jacket. I jumped up and down and pointed. "That pink fluffy girl stole my mittens. She is the crook, only her jacket is covering up her tattoo. And so that's what had me stumped." Mrs. called to the pink fluffy girl. She skipped over to where we were. I kept on jumping. "You stole them. You stole my mittens." "No, I didn't," she said. "I didn't steal anything. I found these mittens. They were right in the grass, and so I thought nobody wanted them." "I did. I wanted them. My Grandpa Miller bought them for no good reason, and I've been worrying about them all day and all night, and that is called heartache, madam." Mrs. said to shush my voice. She took my mittens away from the pink fluffy girl and gave them back to me. Then she bended down and she talked to the pink fluffy girl real serious. "Even if you thought no one wanted these mittens, it was wrong of you to take them." The pink fluffy girl pointed at me. "But she didn't even take good care of them." I stamped my foot. "Yes, I did. I did too take good care of them. I left them with my attractive winter jacket because I didn't know there was crooks in this place." Mrs. said hush to me again. "You should have taken them to the lost and found," she told the pink fluffy girl. "Yeah, because then I would have found them when I looked there. And so what do you think that box is there for, my health?" The pink fluffy girl started to cry. "But I really, really love them," she said. Mrs. smoothed her hair. "I'm afraid that's not the issue." "Yeah, we're afraid that's not the issue, because finders keepers isn't the rule, apparently. And from now on, if you find my stuff, you have to take it to the lost and found. Plus, also, you can put it in my grandpa's mailbox." Mrs. looked at me a real long time. She said I'm getting on her nerves. After that, she held the pink fluffy girl's hand, and they went to talk to her teacher. I quick put my mittens on, and then I buried my face in their black furry fur, and I danced around, all joyful. The next day, I went to principal's office. The grouchy typing lady looked over the counter at me. I rocked back and forth on my feet. "Yeah, only I am not even bad again," I said. "I just need to go to the lost and found, and that's all." The grouchy typing lady opened up the closet, and she pulled out the big box. Just then the phone rang, and she hurried up to answer it. I quick bended down and digged my hands in the lost and found. Then my heart got very thrilled because I saw that wonderful teddy backpack again, that's why. I snuggled my face. I still love this softy guy. I put him on my back and skipped all around. The grouchy typey lady hanged up the phone. "Did you lose that too?" she asked me. "Is that why you're here?" Kept on standing there and standing there. "Well," she said. Finally, I did a big sigh, and then I walked very slowly back to the box, and I took off the teddy backpack. No, not why. After that, I reached in my pocket, and I pulled out my wonderful pen. "I found this," I said. "It was on the floor by the water fountain, and I really, really loved it, only that is not the issue." And then I did a big, deep breath, and I dropped my wonderful pen into the lost and found. "I am not a crook," I said, kind of quiet. The grouchy little typing lady looked nicer at me, and she ruffled my hair. "No, of course you're not a crook." After that, I rocked back and forth on my feet some more, and I waited and waited and waited, and the typing lady raised up her eyebrows. "I'm waiting for the grin," I explained. "Only there seems to be a delay." She laughed right out loud, and that's when I felt it, the grin. It came right on my face. "Hey, it's working, I said, and I skipped all around the office. Then the typing lady opened up the door, and I skipped all the way to room 9. And guess what? I didn't even find a pen that writes 4 different colors, and that was a big relief. So, Junie B is not a crook.